I'm live. I'm reading out of Lord of the Horizon, a Joan far memory book, which was published in 1943. I have read the first chapter. It is largely a continuation of Ra-Ab Hotep's story. He was brought up in the eyes of Horus, and he is now 21. We are here in chapter 2, and it's entitled Amenemhet Pharaoh. Amenemhet was making a royal progress to the Oryx, there to invest Roidan, the leader of the Eyes of Horus, with the title of Lord of the Horizon. On the evening before leaving Hotep Ra, where I had spent most of my time since returning to the Oryx, Roidan said to me, "In 3 days, Amenemhet will reach here to confer honours on the Oryx, and on those of us who have helped to make him Pharaoh. Except in the warriors who went with him into battle, the royal progress will seem to be the climax of many years' endeavour. For the first time in their lives, our people will have nothing to fight for, because they will have achieved the ambition which for so long has united us. The darkness is at an end. There are no longer whip men in Egypt, and the followers of Set have been killed or sent into exile." "You speak almost as though it were a tragedy instead of a triumph," I said with a smile. "It could become a tragedy if in peace we were to forget the need for leadership." "Why should we? The Watchers have given the people a new Egypt. From hetman to vizier, there are links of authority trained in our laws. They have learned enough wisdom to take on their present obligations, but unless the wisdom is daily increased, it will soon become inadequate. Will granaries keep forever full if no fresh corn is sown? How then can a man keep his wisdom unless his thoughts are fertile? There will always be evil which we must conquer, and there will always be evil until all men are gods. And what will then happen is a problem with which we need not concern ourselves. Fear is not only the weapon of tyrants, Ra-Ab. It can be used by mother against son, by wife against husband. As long as there is a family which is not in harmony, both in itself and with its neighbours, the seed of conflict waits in the hand of Set, and he will scatter it wherever there is soil ready. It was easy for us to lead our people, because we could show them a positive enemy, the tyrant who called himself Pharaoh, and his dark brood of ignorant officials. Whether it was a headman or an overseer whom he saw as the immediate symbol of false authority, a man could say to himself, 'He is my enemy. When power has been taken from him, I shall have nothing to fear.' Now, that has happened, and soon the man will find that there is always something to fear, unless wisdom is the spear and courage his shield. We have prepared new fields, but it is not enough to sit and watch the grain spring from the furrow. We must keep constant guard against the weeds of inertia and the blight of ignorance. In each of us there is conflict between what we have attained, which is of Ra and eternal, and that which we still lack, which is of Set and is transient. That conflict can be like the dual pressure of wind and water, which sends a sailing boat on its course, or it can be like the upper and lower grindstones, which crush everything between them into dust. Release the energy latent in that conflict directly into the right channels, and it will help to create an earth which is a reflection of the fields of Ra. It must be used to overcome those ordeals with Ra. It must be used to overcome those ordeals which Ra has sent to teach strength to mankind, to drive out famine and to bring fertility to the desert, to catch the wind in the sail and to guide the waters to replenish the fields, to overcome pestilence and the fear of death. Only then shall man grow strong in his Father's image and find contentment on earth. The water in an aqueduct is a man's servant, yet, if the stones have been carelessly placed, many may die in a time of flood. If we do not continue to build aqueducts down which men's energy can be directed, they will use it not for each other, but against each other. We must make them realize, Ra-Ab, that the trumpets which sounded the death of the old rule were also the call to battle for the future. There is work for the watchers where there is jealousy or cowardice, fear or hunger, ignorance or cruelty in any part of earth. There is work for the watchers while even one of all mankind does not love his brother and himself. Only when each knows his own heart and loves all that he finds therein can mankind say in truth, the dawn is come. And on that morning they will see that the gods are brothers in their own likeness. So that the great multitude, even those to whom his voice could not carry, should be able to see Pharaoh. A stone platform, like the plinth of a god statue, had been built on a wide level space where Hotep Ra joined my own estate. Almost every man, woman and child in the Oryx had come to honor Pharaoh. Like the encampment of a great army of peace, stretched the pavilions of the overseers and headmen, the thatched shelters of the field workers, and in the evening the smoke of their campfires rose in the still air as the pillars of a mighty temple, so that their hearts might be as a stele on which the words of Pharaoh were inscribed. To every overseer and headman a scribe's copy of his speech was given, to be a well of sweet water for the refreshment of the weary. The stone platform was like a boat in a sea of people, and Amenemhet was the steersman who set their course to the horizon. He looked remote as a god statue, his face under the white crown calm and enduring as the crossed hands which hold the crook and flail. Yet to each who heard him he spoke with the voice of a friend. Each felt that to them he was as a rock in a desert of shifting sand, and that once again Pharaoh was a link between his people and their gods. Thus did he speak to them. People of the Oryx, who in the darkness called on the name of Ra, the long night is ended, and the dawn is come. I greet you in the name of Ra and of Egypt. By the crook and the flail which in your name the gods have put into my hands, I pledge you my word that Set shall remain in exile while there are watchers in Egypt. As the light in your hearts drove out the darkness from the two lands, so shall that light show us the firm causeway which leads to the horizon, and not let us fall into the marshes of tribulation. Remember that the light of your own heartstone is the child of Ra. Let that heartstone be the symbol of peace, in which neither hand nor voice is raised against friend or kinsman. Strive for happiness as lesser men strive for power. And remember that love is both the seed and the flower of joy. Let your actions be such that if they were done to you, they would increase your happiness. Love others that they may love you, and love yourself that you may love others. That is the first law of the Watchers, the imperishable rock on which the new Egypt must be built. If this law be kept, there will be no need for other laws. Yet, so that you may know what the first law shall give you, I will tell you what harvest will spring from that single furrow if you are wise husbandmen. You will be born without fear, for your mother and your father will rejoice that Min has given them fertility. You will learn the speech of kindliness, so that the rasp of anger and the sound harsh as splintered bones of quarrels shall be as foreign language which holds no meaning for you. Your body will grow strong, for there shall be no fear to poison the food you eat, nor shall the spectre of famine come near the house in which you live. If there should become a pestilence, then will you go to the temple and be healed. If you should ask a question which a kinsman cannot answer, then shall you go to a priest, so that which is obscure will become known to you. Your work shall be according to the needs of your soul. Though you are born in the house of a fisherman, you may become a scribe. Though you are born in the house of a potter, you may become a warrior. Or from the house of a field worker, you may become a noble. You shall be measured according to the weighing of your heart, neither being wearied by a field too large for you to till, nor restricted by boundaries that are too narrow. If your neighbor's ox should stray, then will you help him to find it? And if there be fire in your straw stack, then will he carry water to quench the flames. The man of many fields will not feel arrogant in the presence of him who has but 100 cubits. Does the elder brother despise the younger, because 5 years separate them from the same womb? You are bound to no one save by the gold link of affection. Should brother and brother be kinsmen only by blood, then will they say farewell with the usages of courtesy, and take different roads, rather than travel together in hostility. If the weary should come to your door, you will give them rest, and to the thirsty you will give water, both in the cup of clay and from the jar of truth. Then may you travel without fear, knowing that, though the road is long, it ends at the door of a friend, and that the man of peace shall not thirst, even in a desert. You must always remember that Set may come to your door in disguise. He may offer you gold, which is not yours by right. He may offer you the rod of authority, when you know it is too heavy for your hand. He may offer you the strong wine of flattery, which you know you are not old enough to drink. You must recognize him as your enemy, and he will not leave you when you bid him go. Then you must call upon your friends to help you drive him again into exile. In obeying the first law, you will have broken many of the arrows in Set's quiver. You will not fear solitude, for you will never be friendless. You will not fear your husband or your wife, for you will have taken them in love, and not for expediency. You will not fear your child, for no enemy can be born of love. You will not fear any kinsman, for blood cannot bind you unless it be to another child of Ra. You will not fear idleness, for all are needed in the new Egypt. You will not fear work, for it will be congenial. You will not fear famine, for in the granaries there will be bread for the lean years. You will not fear flood, for the water channels shall be maintained, and the aqueducts be mighty in their cubits. You will not fear to grow up, for the years will show you new horizons. You will not fear to grow old, for in each new horizon you will find further wisdom. You will not fear death, for you shall remember the fields of Ra. You will not fear Set, but conquer him by the light in your own heart. I, Amenemhet Pharaoh, have spoken. So that was chapter number 2. Chapter number 3 is entitled Allegiance of the North. Bye-bye.